Yo, what's going on, guys? Arekkz here. Welcome back to another video for Monster Hunter Rise, and today we are back with more weapon videos, this time the longsword and the lance. This, of course, the longsword video. The lance video will be following shortly. If you missed yesterday's videos, then Capcom have started dropping 2 weapon videos a day. My favourite thing about pre-launch Monster Hunter, when they start showing off these little weapon previews. So in this one, we're going to be going over the new stuff. So if you do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. And as always, if you're excited for Rise, then you're in the right place. Make sure you keep it locked because we've got plenty of stuff coming your way. Now, to begin with, before we even talk about the moves, can we just take a second to appreciate the Magnum Marlowe armor? Oh my gosh, this looks incredible. I absolutely love anytime armor sets have that sort of samurai aesthetic. It's partly why I wore the Toka set for like the entirety of Generations, even when it wasn't necessarily the best set, just because it looked damn awesome. But this, oh my gosh, I'm lost for words. I love it. It looks incredible. I want to wear it. Yes, please. Thank you, Capcom. Anyway, that to one side. Starting off, we of course have the typical intro montage showing off a few little flashy moves. We see, of course, the return of some of the, moves we're familiar with from World and Iceborne. We see the EI Sheath, the EI Slash, the EI Spirit Slash, and of course, the setup for a couple of the new Silkbind moves. But of course, in combat, we have the Hunter against Arekkz, and to begin with, pretty standard combos, things we're familiar with. We see the EI Sheath, see the ability to go into EI Slash, which, behavior-wise, of course, then allows us to keep that charge going in our Spirit Gauge, and of course, this ends in the Roundhouse Slash, and you can see as the Spirit Gauge levels up, we get that nice, colourful glow all down the weapon. Really liking that one. It just looks so nice amidst the kind of character that these weapons have. So yeah, super happy about that one. We, of course, then have the Hunter again going into an EI Sheath, this time into the EI Spirit Slash with the sort of counter. Interesting thing here is, visual-wise or animation-wise, it seems like they've taken some of the cues from the Sakura Slash from Generations. If you guys remember that one, that was one of the Hunter arts, and you basically just like anime dash through the monster and then left these sort of slices in it, which just looks incredibly cool. So, behavior-wise, I imagine it's kind of pretty similar to what we're used to from Iceborne, but visually, I just really like that, kind of those lingering slashes. It just looks very, it's all just super anime, right? Of course, the next clip shows off the Foresight Slash, as we're used to, so of course you can use that to, firm some of those attacks, and we of course then see the finisher for that one, knocking Arekkz out the sky, and what's really cool is you can actually go directly from ending that attack into a Wirebug launch, and of course that then leads into one of the Silkbind attacks. So this already, just before we even get into Silkbind move, I just love how seamlessly the Wirebug seems to be working into all aspects of play. The fact that you can kind of go from, Foresight Slash into that finishing move and then seamlessly just pull yourself into the air and go into the next attack. This is incredibly cool. So, speaking of which, we then have our first Silkbind attack, which is called the Soaring Kick. Again, incredibly stylish. You use the Wirebug to launch yourself into a jump kick, so you can see that you literally kick off the monster, launch yourself into the sky, and if it connects, it'll trigger a plunging thrust, and landing the thrust will automatically fill your Spirit Gauge for a short period of time. We actually saw this during the gameplay, the TGS gameplay, where the Spirit Gauge goes blue. However, if you press the corresponding button after landing the kick, you can instead perform a Spirit Helm Breaker at the cost of 1 level of Spirit Gauge. So this is basically another path to Spirit Helm Breaker. It'll be interesting to see whether the natural path for Spirit Helm Breaker still exists in this game, or whether they've put it solely behind the Wirebug. That much, of course, until we get to play ourselves, we won't know for certain. But either way, you basically have, we've seen this with a couple of different weapons, we've seen this with the Greatsword as well. It seems that when you launch yourself into the sky, you basically have a couple of different options. So, by default, you'll plunge down, performing that thrust, giving you the auto fill for your Spirit Gauge. But then again, if you have the necessary gauge, then you can of course press the input and perform the Spirit Helm Breaker. Meanwhile, the second move, and we've seen this one again before in the TGS gameplay, is called the Serene Pose. This, they say the calm before the storm, basically taking a hit while your weapon is at the ready will swiftly lead into a counterattack. So this is, we've seen this kind of behavior before. We've seen a very similar move in Generations as well as a Hunter art. Basically, this is your counter move, your counter Silkbind attack. So you can then set this up if you see an attack coming, and you can then lead straight into your counter. Pretty cool stuff. I just like the way that it assembles this sort of spiderweb style lattice in front of you. That just looks incredibly stylish. It's also worth noting that if you pay attention to the 2 different clips here, it does appear that performing an attack in the Silkbind, if you have Spirit Charge, appears to consume 1 level of charge. You'll notice that in the first one, the sword is not charged, but in the second one, it begins red, and then after performing the counter, it goes yellow, and then of course, you can then go from there into a Roundhouse Slash to then refill your gauge. So it's probably one of those things where if you have the charge, you can do a lot more damage, by performing this move. Also, one final observation, it seems that the Magnum Marlowe weapon seems to be kicking out blast damage, so that could well give us some insight into the behavior of Magnum Marlowe itself, given that typically the weapons tend to take characteristics of that monster, so we could be looking at a blast attack from Magnum Marlowe. But for the time being, that is a little look at the longsword, looking incredibly cool. The fact that we have a demo next month, honestly, I can't wait. I just can't wait to go hands-on with all the weapons. It's going to be super exciting. But anyway, for the time being, that's it. Don't forget to keep it locked every day this week because, of course, this is the schedule. So assuming that this follows the pattern it has been doing so, then this is the order in which you can expect the weapons to be covered. I'll be talking about the Lance next on the channel, so you can also catch that one. But otherwise, keep it locked for plenty more. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there. If you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with, it's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.